How's it going, everyone? Mustache here from Party Time Brewing. Today we're going to take a look at the Blichmann Whirlpool kit. This little bad boy is about 80 bucks. It has two main parts of it, the Whirlpool arm and the linear flow valve, as well as an NPT fitting half-inch to just attach whatever sort of method you use to pump your wort through. The reason I picked this up is because I kind of suck at doing my whirlpools. I want something a little more automatic, maybe a little easier, and hopefully this will do the trick. In this video, we're basically going to go over the parts of it, go over the assembly. I'm gonna drill a hole in my 15 or 20 gallon kettle and hopefully don't screw it up. And then we'll take a little look at how it works at the end. If you happen to like this video, give it a like at the end. If you want to subscribe and see more, have at her. Anyway.
Party time, party time, party time brews. This song ain't no good, but we got nothing to lose. Party time, party time, party time brews. Here's another piece of kit with a half-ass review.
Okay, so we'll be starting off with the manual. You want to read the instructions completely in case I miss anything here or the valve changes with future versions or upgrades. The manual has the drill sizes and what you really need in order to install this weldless valve. After you've read the instructions, here are the items that we'll be using in a somewhat order of appearance. You start with the Whirlpool arm and the valve. These will be used first to ensure your chosen location for the valve works with the other attachments. You'll need a marker to mark where you want the hole drilled after you've figured that out, and ideally a center punch, but I'm using a Phillips screwdriver here to put a divot in the metal to guide the drilling. You'll need a hammer to smack the punch, a few 3/16 inch drill bits for drilling the pilot holes, some cutting fluid to cool the bits as they are drilling, a drill and a step drill bit that has a 13/16 inch step, and then you'll have the bulkhead fitting, the shaft collar, and an O-ring. A 1 1/8 inch wrench works good for the bulkhead fitting and some pliers to hold the other end. Finally, you'll need a 1/2 inch NPT fitting to attach your hose to because this kit doesn't include one. For this application, I have a first generation Blichmann Boilermaker G1 which I got used, as well as a few more wrenches on the side here to remove the existing weldless attachments during the drilling process. After you've hopefully read the manual before deciding to blindly follow a random brew tuber's instructions, it's time to decide where you want to put the hole for a Whirlpool arm and valve. From my research, I found that the general consensus was that you want to put the valve somewhere in the middle of the wort volume. For the vertical placement, I ended up going with the 8 gallon mark, which would be slightly above the halfway point of the 15.5 gallons I need post-boil in order to create a 15 gallon batch. If you have a large pot like this and tend to do smaller batches, make sure you plan for the smallest amount of wort you plan on using with this valve. If I was doing a 10 gallon or less batch with this pot, I would probably place it at around the 4 gallon mark. This would allow it to be used for 5 or 10 gallon batches, although it would be a bit high for the 5 gallon batches. For the horizontal placement, I decided that I want the Whirlpool flow as laminar or as undisturbed as possible, so I wanted it to flow around the smooth pot before meeting with the inner attachments at the end of the cycle. Once your position is figured out, hold the valve in place on the outside of the pot to ensure it is not blocked by any of the existing attachments. Also take into consideration the type of attachment you will be using in order to attach your hose for cycling the wort. Then do the same on the inside of the pot with the Whirlpool arm to make sure it's free to adjust as necessary. Now that the planning is done, time to put a hole in a perfectly good pot. Start by punching a small divot with a center punch if you have one, or any pointy end thingy will work just fine as long as it's strong enough. Take your 3/16 drill bit and drill a pilot hole for your step drill bit. Don't be afraid of the cutting oil, it really helps. Unlike me, be sure to take all your attachments off of the pot and place any brewing equipment far away from your workspace. Metal filings don't taste great in beer, and for some reason your guts aren't designed for them. Now here's the fun part. Take your time with a step drill bit as to not accidentally go too big. Have another look at the manual to ensure the diameter you plan on drilling is the correct one. I tried to use some tape to remind me when to stop, but it didn't hold well and I ended up removing it. If you haven't used the cutting oil yet, it is now time to take it out. You only need a few drops at a time, and I added more every time it seemed the drill bit was starting to smoke a bit. The cutting oil is used to basically just cool the bit as it is drilling. I drilled with a Kettle standing vertical, but if you have a way to brace it with blankets or some lumber, it would be much easier and straighter to drill with the pot resting on its side. For the step drill bit, you want a steady, slower speed on your drill not to burn it out quickly. If you have the option, the larger the hole, the slower the RPM. The hole for this weldless fitting needs a final diameter of 13/16 inches. Keep widening the hole until you reach that point. If you're unsure of the markings on your drill bit, check it with the fitting after every step to ensure you don't go too far. Once you've drilled the correct diameter hole, you must get rid of any sharp edges to ensure no leaks and hopefully long-lasting seals. You can just use the step drill on the opposite side you drilled from to clean any burrs. Make sure you don't accidentally go another step. I found it was still a bit rough after this, so I took a Dremel tool with some sort of stone attachment to ground it down smooth. Once you're satisfied, make sure you clean up all the metal filings. Again, don't drill or grind with any of your brewing equipment nearby. Oh, that little guy? I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
So with the valve here, what you have at the end, there is a fitting for the O-ring. That goes in there, and then it's basically just this sandwiches it on the inside. So let's do that. Again, that on the inside. Fits through nice and snug. Want to make sure this O-ring stays in place. And we're just going hand tight to start. So we got our hand tight to start. This bad boy, the 1 1/8, will go on the inside for tightening, and I will just use this to hold it on the outside. So that should be good and tight on there. For the future, like I mentioned, I did have one of these kicking around. Tried to order it, but couldn't get another one right away. So I got this, one of the Blichmann 90-degree quick connects. Real easy to use, they screw on nice and simple. The only problem is they are 20 bucks a piece Canadian. Nice and easy. The only thing that's left is the Whirlpool arm. That just basically slides in, and there's two, as you can see, there's 2 O-rings on the inside of the fitting, and this piece is just a piece that goes in there so you can lock this where you want it. I'm going to try it just at the 90 degrees to the flow, or basically pointing straight around. You can adjust the angle as necessary to make the smoothest whirlpool you want. You don't want to point it up too much, or it'll churn the water at the top, and you don't want it down too much, or it'll again start just kind of a flow at the bottom. So I'll try it just straight and see how that works, and then on the second brew, if it doesn't work great, I'll adjust it a little bit. But either way, it's not too hard to adjust. It just has a little Allen key hole here for tightening it. So we just stick that in. So we put this piece on here, and then we can push that in there. That goes in. The little knob there locks into one of the holes. And then you decide where you want your Whirlpool arm to be pointing. Like I said, that might be too high. That's probably too low. Want it somewhere in between there. And comes with this nice Allen key to tighten everything up. And then we just put the rest of the accessories back on, and we are good to go.
And would you look at that? A thing of beauty. Brand new Whirlpool valve.
Hey, you made it this far. It's just about time to test out the Whirlpool kit. If you have a moment, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you want to see some more content like this. Either way, we're going to test out the Whirlpool kit. I'm going to take about half a pound of old hops I had kicking around. I have some hops from 2016, I believe they're Centennial, and I got them for about 40 cents a pound off Northwest Hop Farms, just on clearance, so really all I ended up having to do was pay shipping. So I'm not really using these hops anymore, so I'm going to try throw in a half a pound. Get the Whirlpool going and see how that works. For the Whirlpool, just gonna run the valve for about 5 minutes, let it stop for 20, everything settle down as much as possible, then I'll drain it and we'll see what kind of a hop cone forms or how the Whirlpool kit works. Let's have at it.
So I filled up the kettle with some hot water. As I tried to walk away, the hose tried to go full runaway fire hose on me, but then it was full and I measured 1 solo cup full of hops and dumped it in the mix. Next, I turned on the pump to start the Whirlpool for 5 minutes. You can see here how it starts up pretty good, but with all the hop matter on the wort, you can't really see if a cone's building up on the bottom. Here we sped it up to about 6 times speed. I should have put the hops in a little earlier to get them suspended in solution a little more before whirlpooling. You are getting sleepy. After you've subscribed to the channel, watched all the videos and funded my brewery in the links below, you will go make the greatest beer in the world. Or maybe just a tribute. After 5 minutes, I turned off the pump and let it rest 20 minutes before draining. Let's see if any cone formed. Well, the cone didn't form as perfectly as I would have liked, but as you can see, there's a bit more clearish fluid around the edges, and in the middle, there's a fairly thick hop cone. Here's a quick clip of a Whirlpool valve working with a handful of grain. As you can see, it quickly builds a circular pile in the middle. A quick schmo tip: don't use unmilled grain in your kettle with a riptide pump and no filter on the intake. The grain goes smoothly through the main area of the pump itself, but quickly clogs up in the linear flow valves, requiring disassembly to clear out. This is just a weird case because I'm doing a demonstration, but be aware that if you have some thick trube or hot matter, that the point of clogging on this type of system is the linear flow valves.
So thanks for watching, really appreciate you checking out the video. Hopefully it's useful to you if you're hooking up a Whirlpool valve or any other sort of weldless fitting to your kettle. If you see any other crap in the background that you want explained or I should make a video on, let me know. But either way, thanks for checking it out and have a good one. Cheers.